So, hey, nice
Hello.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh,
Thanks for flying all the way out here.
yeah, it's my pleasure for sure. What are we doing in Utah?
What's funny is I've never really been like a city guy, and I was in LA. I'm originally from Maryland, and I moved to LA in 2012. It was like 2013, really, but around 2000, late 2012, after I got my record deal with Def Jam.
Okay.
And I was there for so long, excuse me, because I felt the need to. Long after I had made it, whatever that means,
Yeah.
air quotes for those just listening, I I didn't realize it, and then I was like, oh, I'm really not a scene guy anyway. It's not like I'm going to the club out here.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I'm trying to get all these connects or these. It's just was I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't really want to be here, even though LA is dope.
Yeah.
It's like really cool.
Yeah.
But it's just not for me. It's
Yeah.
not who I am, and taxes and everything's so expensive, and yeah, it's
Right.
crazy.
So, how long have you been in Utah?
For like a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how's it going?
It's great. I'm
Cool.
not going to be here forever. I don't
Yeah.
know where home will end up being, but probably around the time my boy's like 4 or 5 years old, I'll try to stay put just for him in school. And
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where was home originally? Where'd you grow up?
Gaithersburg, Maryland, which is a kind of like a suburb of Washington D.C.
Okay.
And it's like a conglomerate. Like it's more known as the DMV, which stands for D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, but I just spent all my time in Maryland.
Okay.
Well, until I started rapping, and then because there's a whole scene in DC, and then I would go out there for open mic nights and things like that. Yeah.
Right. And isn't I feel like I've heard too that the style of rap based on where you are in that part of the East Coast, it differs, right? Is it
Well,
am I
you're
making
probably
that up?
thinking about go-go, no, which is a very specific type of music. It
Yeah.
isn't hip-hop, though.
Okay.
There are MCs. It's kind of confusing, actually, but it's like there's MCs who will rap over the beats, but primarily more so singing, a certain kind of gritty, grimy singing. It's weird. Well, not always, because there's always like female vocals who they just kill it. But yeah, very different, based on percussion. Back in the 80s, they used to call it Chocolate City, DC. And so, yeah, that was kind of the sound and what it was known for was go-go, yeah.
Got it. And how much of where you grew up influenced the kind of music that you make today?
It's funny. There's this gentleman named Wale who's a rapper from where I'm from, and he definitely inspired me, like for sure. But it's not like he was the end-all be-all in my sound by any means. So for me, it was less about sonically or other artists in my area that inspired me. And once again, there were a few that did. As more so as like my home situation, my, being black and white and looking white, and your dad's on crack and your mom's was also a drug addict and an alcoholic, and crime, and my brother's selling crack to my dad, and like all these different things is more so what influenced the music, because it also influenced my life, because I realized that this was a path that I didn't necessarily want to walk down myself, because I had seen how it affected it's I saw how it affected every single person, damn near, not everybody, but a majority of the people in my family that essentially began to walk down the same path.
Mhm.
So I didn't want that. I didn't smoke until smoke weed. I smoked weed a couple times as a teenager. Nothing crazy. I didn't really drink until I was like 25. So
Let
yeah.
me dig into that a little bit, if it's okay, of
Yeah.
what do you think it was about you? Was it an outside influence or something internal that you had all of that around you in both of your parents and the stress and the circumstances to make you want to numb out? What do you think it was that you didn't follow the same path?
I always say that it was like God and common sense. And when it comes to God, I'm not really an organized religion guy, but I do respect everyone's faith. I have no issues. I just have my own personal beliefs. And I don't believe in Sky Dad, white dude on a cloud with a beard.
Right.
But I believe in something,
Yeah.
whatever he or she is or whatever. And for me, I'd like to say it's that mixed with common sense. They talk about like nature versus nurture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really nurtured. And nature was crazy, so I don't know what happened exactly. It's just it's like I can't explain it,
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense. I mean, even growing up, my mother, she would use the N-word with a hard R at her kids, myself included. I would tell that story to people and they would go, "Oh my God, like that doesn't make any sense." And I'm like, exactly. I
Right.
spent a majority of my life trying to make it make sense, only to realize that I'm better off accepting it for whatever the hell it was,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of my being able to understand it, so that I may have a better outlook and relationship with my life in general. So I say all that to say it's a lot of letting go. It's a lot of not knowing where or why or how, but not needing to find an answer. I think I'm just okay with the fact that I made it out. And damn near every day, there's this sense of survivor's guilt. You know what I mean? Because I look at all these people that I love who just didn't make it. And so I'm not sure.
How does that manifest for you, that survivor's guilt?
No, it's just more so like you look at certain people in your family who are extremely uneducated or can't make certain decisions or were never able to break the loop of welfare, HOC, the same thing, like, living under the government, uneducated. It's a difficult thing, and I'm just like, I don't know how I got it out. And once again, that's no slight.
Right.
Like, I'm not shitting on my family.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
To put it bluntly. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Do you feel like, I heard once, like, we're either a mirror of or a reaction to our family of origin?
I've never really heard that.
So meaning that
Makes
we
sense.
sort of become them or we become the opposite of them.
Mm.
But very much, like, do you ever think about, I doubt you read my books because you are not my demographic, but I have, in a very different way, a really hard childhood and really not great parenting stuff. And every single bit of who I am and my success and what I've been able to do is a reaction to coming out of that. So do you sort of frame it through that lens, or are you just more like present in the moment, kind of going with what is happening today?
No, I definitely feel like I just wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for all the dysfunction and negativity and, some of the happy moments as well that I grew up in. Like, it's just, I am wholeheartedly who I am because of those things. So it's, yeah, I mean, I agree. It's just really wording, right? It's like how you perceive it, how I could perceive it, how this or that, but it really is all the same thing. I think our childhoods make us who we are.
Yeah.
Whether we follow that path or not, whether it's, on purpose and with conviction to do the opposite or do the same if we have had a good upbringing. I don't know. Like I said, I had a buddy that I grew up with, and he came from the better part of Gaithersburg and a 3-story house and a dad who worked for the government and a loving mother and never needed anything. And then, he slices some dude's stomach open and his intestines fall on the floor, and he's in jail for 14 years, and then he beats the case. And when I was a kid running around with him, he put guns in my hands and we were shooting shit and doing dumb stuff and rapping and all this stuff. And here was this white boy who came from a pleasant place who's now walking around, our town with sawed-off shotguns under his trench coat. Meanwhile, I came from the place where you think that would have been me.
Right.
And yet I turned out in many ways, I think at least more so as a human being, just as a person, the way he would have growing up in a 3-story house with XYZ and blah, blah, blah. And you think he would turn out the way that I did or would have since I was raised that way in my household.
Yeah. When did music come into the journey for you?
Music was always there because my dad was a musician and he played go-go music. And it's just I probably like 14, 15 is when I really started to get into hip hop and music in general. It's funny, my whole life I never could really hear lyrics. I don't know how to explain it. I'd listen to music, but I wouldn't really hear the lyrics or understand that there was a message or something in it until I started writing myself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And how do you even take that on? I mean, also what inspired you to think that you should take that on?
It's monkey see, monkey do,
Right.
I think how many interviews have you watched? Books have you read? It's just like you kind of try to do your best to be your favorite person that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And then through that you realize, oh, you know what? I actually wouldn't do it that way. And I prefer to do it this way or XYZ. And then that's what makes you unique in turn. So for me, I think it was more so just listening to Tribe Called Quest and Wu-Tang Clan and, so many different amazing artists and in trying to do what they did and find and figure out why they did it and how they did it as well as they did, whether it's enunciation and pronunciation and, just a certain level of having vocabulary. I mean, Nas, when he was, even before Illmatic, right? Illmatic came out in 93, I believe. Might have been 92, but I'm pretty sure it was 1993. And so Illmatic comes out, and he's using words like cerebral cortex and like all this shit. And he's like from the hood. He's from Queensbridge, like selling drugs and all this stuff. People just didn't talk that way. And so that is another thing that inspired me to like check out books from the library on human anatomy and medical terms and all this other shit. So rather than just like, you know, listen to whoever talking about, I got bitches and hoes and fuck yeah, and look at this money and all whatever, I was like, nah, I also don't have any of that. So like, what can I talk about?
Right.
So I think that a mixture between my home life, studying what the greats before me had done, and just kind of wanting to do something different, like integrate the fact that I'm a nerd and I like sci-fi and anime and all these different things, which I was persecuted for many years for in hip-hop. But I think I'm also a big reason of why hip-hop has changed. And there are people like me who don't necessarily have to fit a certain stereotype or talk about a certain thing. I mean, because, and sorry, I know I'm going on.
No, this is like my dream. Literally, I'm fascinated by how people do what they do. So you cannot bore me. Keep going.
I appreciate it. So I think it's like, you know, you have these artists who aren't actually who they are. They truly do fabricate a lot of who they are. Not the great ones, not the realest ones, but the guys who are like, I'm in the hood and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Because they're just like perpetuating a notion that hip hop has to be a certain thing, which I've always found extremely bullshit. You know, if you look at the genre of rap, right? So first and foremost, it was born from something beautiful, kind, you know, people definitely of color trying to spread a message of positivity, from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five to Run DMC to DJ Kool Herc. It was built on something beautiful. Now, when you have guys like NWA and Ice Cube and DMX and anybody who may bring not necessarily what I'd like to call a negative connotation to hip-hop by any means, but just a different perspective. If you are from the hood, if you are shooting guns because you never really had a family and you need to survive, and you are selling drugs because you can't even get a job for $3.25 at a McDonald's, like, it just is what it is. And then when they write that in their music, they're telling their truth. But then you may have other people who didn't necessarily live that life or live that life to that degree, or would rather glorify the negativity or blah, blah, blah. Then you know, you have this different sect of the music. And once again, that isn't bad. It's just a perspective.
Yeah.
So you can have the positive, the negative, the nerdy, the this, all this these other things in between. But I think I look at rock and roll, and I love rock. I don't even fucking listen to rap, to be honest, because I spent so much of my life listening to hip hop. Like now I just listen to Mac DeMarco and Toro y Moi and the Flaming Lips, and, you know, just classic 70s rock and Bob Dylan and all, like, that's what I love to listen to.
I took myself to a Clapton concert the other night.
Dope.
It was so sick. It was the only time I've gone to a concert by myself, and I was just like,
wow.
Oh my God, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I just love all music, and I appreciate and revere hip hop for sure. But the thing that pisses me off about mainstream media and entertainment and what we do with hip hop, and what the reason I say this is talking about the idea of clumping hip hop is just this, or you have certain personas that are created in like a sense of fallacy, right? That isn't necessarily real, so that whatever. What I'm saying is you have rock, alt rock, blues rock, grunge rock, this rock, that rock, and if you take a genre of music that's even younger than hip hop, like electronic music. Right. You have electronic, electro, techno, dubstep, EDM, like all this stuff. And those have various categories and subgenres, especially when it comes to committees and what they're deciding to, basically what categories like go in the Grammys or this or that. But with hip hop, that's all you have is hip hop.
Interesting. I never thought about that.
It's bullshit, because then you could have the guy who's on some super thug shit, but he's telling his truth, and then you could have somebody like Drake who's singing half his songs, which isn't bad. Right. And then you could have somebody like myself, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, like super rap shit. Then you can have Travis Scott and Lizzo and so-and-so, but you put us all in one fucking category. And to me, it's bullshit.
Is there like something within the industry calling bullshit on that and sort of asking for it to be done in a different way?
I think they just might have like opened up another thing, but it's just a bunch of racist ass white people. That's what no, but for real, that's what it really comes down to. It comes down to urban. I think that they just got rid of that like That's another word for saying, oh, we're gonna put the niggas right here. And it's just like, what kind of shit is that?
Right.
It's bullshit.
Right.
So for me, it's never been something that I appreciate. You know what's really funny too?
What?
Having this these opinions and understanding a certain side of culture and looking white as fuck.
I wondered about that because you are going to be perceived as one thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Based on the way you look.
Yeah.
And I wondered how that affected you as you were trying to move up in this world and sort of grow in a certain way. And then you're probably getting, oh, this is like this one example that we have of a white rapper.
Yeah.
So we're going to sort of like throw you into this category without knowing the nuance and all of the detail.
I'm not mad. That's what people do. I mean, it's human, you know. You could take a trans woman and say, well, no, you're not.
Right.
You're not this, or you're not that, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yes, this is who I am. So for me, yeah, I mean, race was never really a thing. You know, having a black dad and a white mom and looking the way that I look, I was always accepted by people. Like, the internet's such a fake ass fucking place. Like, it doesn't really, like, life and race relations don't really exist that way in the real world. It's like white people rap, black people are awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, it's not really this thing. But yeah, I'd sit down and I'd do interviews and they oh, what's it like being a white rapper? What's it like being a white rapper? And then I'd have to explain, like, no, well, I'm not, I mean, I am, but I'm also black. I'm black and white. My dad's black. And then it becomes this whole argument, not even a conversation. And I'm not the one arguing about how I'm black or how I'm not black or how black are you or how this or how that or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I know it's kind of fucked up, but I never really gave a shit. And I never focused on it. And, you know, it wasn't until like my third album, which is hundreds of songs that I had released up until this point, that I decided, you know what, I'm gonna talk about it on a few songs on this album. And then it was like, oh, all he talks about is being biracial and he's trying to prove himself and XYZ. And I just think it's really funny that you have cats like Kendrick Lamar and Black Thought and Killer Mike and all these incredible MCs that damn near on every song talk about how they're black. I'm black and I'm black. Black is beautiful. It's so beautiful to be black. And I'm like, yeah. And then here I come on this one record and I'm like, hey guys, I'm two things at the same time. Everyone's like, shut the fuck up. So it's because I am the minority. Now, I mean, you can also have people who have been upset and angry and they say things like, well, you don't know what it's like to walk down the street as a black man, to which I can retort, well, you don't know what it's like to walk down the street as a black man in a white man's body. But also, at the end of the day, I never came at you. I'm not angry at you for having your experience in life. So why are you so angry at me for having mine? And what that really just comes down to is everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to say something. Everybody wants to fight and argue for whatever fucking reason. And here I am, the guy who's just yelling peace, love, and positivity. And also, hey, this is my journey. Here's what I went through. And some people want to shoot you down and shout at you and say that it's not right or what's wrong or this or that. And all I know is I was born into this world by a black man and a white woman who were fucking crackheads and alcoholics. And I made it out to spread a positive message. And if that upsets you, well, why don't you just go fuck yourself? Seriously.
Great. It's a good place to start. That feels like a good way to live. Tell me what it was like to, like, how do you go from you're writing songs to you become Logic? Like, I know that's a lot of what the book is about. That it's sort of this process of becoming. But Michelle Obama already took that title, so I'm sure that's why you didn't go for it. So what was it like? Because I don't think you came up in sort of a traditional route. And you use social media quite a bit to sort of grow your brand. Yeah,
for sure. Wow. I was at like the height or the beginning of the change in music and branding and all these things online. So this was before social media and places like Twitter and Instagram. They didn't even know what they had. So all the record. At this point, I had been making music. I learned how to record. I basically had this old like microphone I would use and I was rapping over beats and, over time things got better and the quality got better and I'm finding friends who make beats or shoot videos and we're just kind of creating this thing. And then I'm utilizing Twitter and anybody listening now, you kind of go, duh. Like I would put my video on Twitter and tweet it out.
Yeah.
And it seems like, oh my God, but this was like discovering the wheel.
Right.
So at this age of the internet, there was no making it there. It was, you got to be on the radio, you got to be on MTV, you got to be on all these things like that. That's what matters. And so that just isn't what it is. We want what we want, how we want it, and when we want it. So much so to the point where it's like Apple TV, right? Which I love. It's like they may drop 2 original episodes, but then you have to still wait weekly to watch it. And in many ways, that even in and of itself is very like old school. Because, I mean, with anything now, it's at the tip of your fingers. You can just have it, watch it, listen to it, do it all at once. This was different. It wasn't like that. If you wanted a song, you still had to listen to a radio. If you wanted to watch a music video, you still had to watch MTV. So for me and J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar and Mac Miller to take a clip, and Wiz Khalifa and Big Sean and so many others, Big Crit, Action Bronson, I could go on, to take embed a video and go, hey, you guys can watch this anytime you want right now. Here you go. It was extremely revolutionary. And so I was doing that, and I was really connecting with my fans and doing these live streams. It's just so funny. I say all these things now, like live streams, and it's just so like, duh.
Right.
But back then it just did. It wasn't a thing.
And was it sort of raw and gritty, and in the moment it wasn't polished, it wasn't highly produced, or you were sending out like a finished piece of content?
Well, for sure it was finished content.
Okay.
But it wasn't, but it was content with no budget, but we made it look like it was great. You know, we'd go steal shots, literally, like I'd jump on a moving train for real. And my camera guy would jump on a moving train, and I'm there and I'm like doing a rap, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, we got to get it faster. Like we got to jump off this thing. Like it was stuff like that. It was very guerrilla and gritty and grimy. Which is cool, but it looked beautiful, and it was honest and sincere and from the heart. And, you know, you want to talk about becoming Logic. I think that's what people appreciated about it the most. So even still, when I came up, you had people like Kid Cudi, who I feel very similar to when I think about the emotional content in his music and how open he is and regarding depression and suicide and all these different things that inspired me to then later on be able to, or in that time, to be able to express myself and be extremely open and honest. But having these conversations with fans via the music, saying like, you're important, you're amazing. Oh, you're a nerd? Me too. Oh, you don't fit in? Me too. Like,
right.
And I think that's what did it. So this is like 2010, 2011. And I didn't even know what was going on, which is crazy. Because now, so I'm doing this film called Protagonist that I wrote, and I'm going to star in it, and I'm funding it. I'm just paying like $2 million to do this movie, and I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, oh man, like, am I really making a movie? Like, I can't believe it. It almost doesn't feel like I am, because it's not like I'm some dude with a 2007 Canon, like, you know, doing an art class film like
that
this
only their family's gonna watch.
Exactly. This is like a real thing, you know. And being on set with Joseph Gordon-Levitt for his show Mr. Corman, or, you know, I'm filming this weekend. It's crazy. But back then, when I was essentially doing what I'm doing now in film, I felt like I wasn't doing shit. I was just a kid in a basement, and I was constantly focusing on the future and the next goal and the next thing and the next that. And once I really started, and I still make music every day. I love music. It's amazing. But this is the next chapter in my life. And I remember one day I was on set, Apple Original. I have this crazy episode, and I'm in it, and I don't play some rapper. Like, I'm an actor. It's great. And I'm on set like, man, I just wish that. And I started catching myself the same way that I was back in the basement, thinking about the future, if I had more fans, or if I could go on tour, or if I could just get a record deal, or if I could this, whatever. And I look back on those times, and I don't truly appreciate them, because I wasn't as present or in the moment as I possibly could have been, because I was so focused on the what ifs, or what I want, or the desire of, or if I could one day get there. And even though I sacrificed my entire 20s and had that exact same mentality every year for the last 15 years with film, I will not do that, and I have not done that. And I am telling myself, dude, you're in the basement right now.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy this, because you're never going to be here again.
Yeah, that's so good. And I also love hearing about any sort of creative who keeps pushing themselves into new spaces, because I do this as well. And I feel like every time I try and do something crazy, same as like I wrote a movie script, I'm gonna write a song, I'll write a poem, like whatever, I'm just making it up, because you get it feels stale when you're doing the same medium over and over and over. And you've tried, okay, I've written in a bunch of different genres for books, and now I want to try different mediums. But there is sometimes a pushback from the audience when you do that. Do you feel that from your
100%.
fans?
Yeah, they tell you that you can't, or that you shouldn't, or that you this, or that you that. I believe in mastering your craft, and I'm a master musician, right? I don't say that with ego. I say that with confidence and just fact. Like, I spent my entire life and sacrificed many years. I didn't go to parties. I didn't drink. I didn't this. I didn't that. In a studio, listening to beats, whatever the case may be. So when I see people and they're like, yeah, I'm an actor, singer, dancer, musician, this, that, like all these things in their bio on Twitter, and they're like 19, I'm like,
but are you?
Yeah, it's just kind of, I believe in the 10,000 hour theory. I think as much time as you put into something, you're guaranteed to see that and get that back and get those results, as long as you truly are insane and a crazy person and you make it your whole life. So, for well over a decade, I've been making music. And now I can it's like breathing. So,
right.
And once again, I don't say that to sound any type of way. It's just, I do what I do, and I do it very well.
Yeah.
And, being at a round table with amazing actors and having my heart beating out of my chest as I'm there for like this table read.
Right.
That's something that I don't feel when I'm on stage at Madison Square Garden. And it's sold out. I don't feel that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be there.
Right.
I'm so stoked, but I'm like, yo, let's go. Like, this is what I do. And so I need something that makes my heart race, and that's my family and these new endeavors.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love the idea too of staying present in this new thing so you don't rush past it.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's not like I do it all the time.
Especially if you're future oriented.
I'm very future oriented. So it's difficult because I'm constantly thinking about the next thing. But my biggest thing is balance, doing my best to find balance and doing my best to be present. But, I talked to my friend about this the other day. He was like, bro, there's people who like travel the world and go to India for 20 years to try to find how to be present.
Right.
So
right.
I'm like,
you're doing a pretty good job. What do you think it looks like for you in the next 5 years? If you're future oriented, it means you probably know.
Yeah. I don't know where I'll be living or what I'll be doing, but film for sure. I'll be doing film and music and still touring and things like that when I want to. But I'll just be doing what I want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is what I want. I had a very shitty life, or childhood, I should say, and I worked very, very hard to be blessed enough to be able to do whatever I want. So, yeah, as long as I don't screw it up and blow all my money and smoke crack. Or
Try not to do that.
Yeah.
Can we talk about your creative process? Because
Sure.
I think from the outside looking in, I love looking at the evolution of everything, from the music to the artwork to, like, I was looking at, the book is here. I was looking at the cover of the book, and I was like, it looks like an album cover.
That's because the guy who does all my album covers.
I wondered.
Yeah.
I literally was like, this is so sick.
Thank you.
And it's so unique in what normally you would see in a cover of a book from this particular publisher about this particular topic.
For sure.
So is that creative piece, as you're like, hitching a ride on a train illegally to get a shot, has that always been a part of who you are? Is that something you've learned to develop or lean into over time? And or is it who you surround yourself with?
All of those things, I think, at the same time. So before I even had the access to such incredible artists, I just had to do my best with what I had, But I think once I discovered Sam Spratt, who has done every single album cover of mine, it was just great because he was there to push me and help me and, really create an entire universe for my fans. Because, like, when I say I'm a nerd, like, yo, it's nerd. Like, my second album is about two people. It's called The Incredible True Story. And it's about these two gentlemen in the year 2115. There's no life on Earth. 5 million people live in a space station floating through space called the Babel Space Station. And they're trying to find a habitable planet. And they believe that they found one, which is called Paradise. And as they're in the cockpit of this ship that's like kind of going off to check it and make sure everything is safe, they're having a conversation with their AI counterpart, and her name is Thalia. And Thalia and them are having all these conversations, and what they're actually talking about is oldies music. So essentially from 100 years ago. But that oldies in their day, it just so happens to be Logic. They're listening to a Logic album, so they're having conversations about Logic and hip hop and nerdy shit and all these different things. And it's just like, that's me. Like being able to take the things that I love and then give you this audio cinematic experience that's like this radio play or like some like Orson Welles shit. Like that is really fun. And I think the biggest reason why I did that and went so crazy with that is because what I really wanted to be doing was making film.
Oh, right.
But I didn't have the means. I didn't have this
Yeah.
or that. So I'm sitting here writing scripts. I have 2 characters. And it's like, you want to talk about inspiration. So 15 years before then, I was watching an anime called Cowboy Bebop, which is one of my favorite animes, Japanese animated series of all time. 26 episodes, limited one season series. And this guy who plays Thomas, so it's funny. So the captain's name is Quentin Thomas, and the man of infantry, his name is William Kai. So Quentin, because I love Quentin Tarantino. Thomas, because I just thought about how we all have self-doubt, so kind of like doubting Thomas from the Bible. William, for me, was actually about money, trying to get money, because Bill is short for William. So like bills, I'm trying to get these bills, pay these bills, whatever the case may be. And then Kai is short for a Kai, which is an MPC or a beat machine that I would make all my raps on. So every facet of everything that I do stems from something. And then the guy who plays Quentin Thomas is actually voiced by the guy who plays the main character on Cowboy Bebop, my favorite thing. So I'm like starting to realize like, wow, I can pull all these things into this. And then Sam Spratt was there to help me actually give it a visual life. And, you know, whether we're doing like a recreation of a Renaissance type photo for my 3rd album, Everybody, and just the way things can even tie in. So my first album, Under Pressure, is me in the basement. It's so this basement that I talk about. It's me on the basement with a homie of mine, and I'm just like writing. And then my last album, No Pressure, which came out last year, is me in that basement, but it's like breaking up into this heavenly space as I'm like floating kind of into this place.
Yeah.
Which to me represents like, hey, like you made it. You're finally here. You can just let go. Gravity, nothing's holding you down anymore. Just do whatever you want. You're free. And this memoir, if you look at it and you see I'm floating. And so what we did was I had him paint what would be the back of the No Pressure album cover and take my floating legs. And I asked him, I said, but I want a child falling into darkness beneath it, because that my childhood was that falling, like literally just every corner, every aspect of it. I should have been not here. And yet somehow that falling turned into levitating. It turned into rising out of that childhood. So whether it's music, film, scripts, this, that, without a doubt, it is extremely important that visuals and storytelling is everything to me. It's not just bitches and hoes and boats.
Though those are fun.
Yeah.
Explain to me how you hold on to, wait, hold on. I got too far from the mic. Explain to me how you hold on to that. What I mean is, I know a lot of people, writers, artists, musicians, who experience great success, and it almost eats away or erodes the creative instinct, because they become so known for one thing that then they get surrounded by all these people and there's money. And like, has that been hard for you to hold on to it?
It's funny because we somehow veered away from a similar question that you just tied into, which was, when you do other things, how do fans take it?
Right.
And so the same could be said with this. First of all, fans don't really take it well, but I could give a shit, because a true fan of somebody, it's a fanatic. It's someone who absolutely loves you and is just going to adore you. It is what it is. And it's, there's some people who are like, well, no, if I don't like something, but it's just like, people didn't really used to talk like that. Like once you got social media and you're following the person you love and you're liking their comments and you're saying great job, and then you start to realize that you can turn this device on yourself, and then it becomes about you, and then you realize I hold the power, we hold the power, and these hashtags, and we go, this album isn't what I thought it would be, and then you have these other people and all this shit and whatever, and then it becomes about the consumer and less about the person who's creating the art, which I have had my fair share of doubt with. I have made not necessarily, I wouldn't say that I haven't made the best music, because I really do put my whole heart into everything. but I have made music based on what fans are saying. And that is not a good thing to do,
Right.
especially when you make music like me, because I pick up a guitar, I can sing, I rap, I make, all different kinds of music. And I've realized that if I want to make like trap, fun, hype, party music, there's a bunch of people who aren't going to like it because, they like the Logic that raps like he's in the basement when I do the super raw, gritty hip hop Nas type shit. And then both of those people are going to hate when I do the more, kind of alternative or folky music. Because that's not even their genre of music. And then it's like I have to realize I am different and I am doing this for myself.
Right.
And that is the biggest thing, because like people turn on you like that. And but the craziest shit is like, it's such a finite amount of people. Like
They're just the loudest.
Yeah,
You
the
know what I
loud
mean?
minority.
Yeah.
100%. So I'm 31. They really say when you're in your 30s, you kind of have a clear grip on who you are, and you spend your 20s like trying to find yourself. And I know who I am, and I know what matters, and I know what doesn't. And now I just could give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna make shit. And if you like it, cool. And if not, hey, whatever. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, I really do view myself as a child. I see children in all creative and beautiful people. It's just like, imagine all the terrible, horrible things that people can say to you on the internet. Like, you suck, you're fucking terrible, you'll never be shit, I hope your baby dies, your wife's ugly, blah, blah, blah. And then imagine saying that to a picture of me when I'm 5 years old.
Right.
It's like, fuck you. Like, I'm a creative person. I'm going to do what I want. And if you like it, cool. And if not, cool. And the biggest thing here, too, is you have a majority of people, or not a majority, you have a section of people who are saying these things, but they are doing nothing.
Right.
That's a real thing. They ain't doing shit, or they want to be doing what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. It's like you are judging something you've literally never even tried to do.
Because
which
you're
is
too
so,
scared to
right.
to take the leap,
Do you feel like you are this creative because you create every day?
No. Because I used to create every day. I think that's what makes me a great rapper. Because I used to rap every day and do multiple songs a day for years and years. I mean, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of songs that just aren't even out. You know? They're not good enough. You don't see you didn't see Michael Jordan in the gym missing all those shots that it took to make the shots, So, no, I think I'm a psychopath and my brain is constantly trying to create or think of things. But I think at this stage in my life personally, the lack of creation and finding balance and spending that time with my son or my wife or my this or my that is actually better for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because then when I do sit down, it's like, all right, it's go time. And I can be so excited to like really focus on something, because I've let art and creation rule me for so long to get here. But now it's like, dude, like you got to take a break. It's important.
Yeah. So when does work start on the movie?
It's already begun. Yeah,
Cool.
We're doing like pre-production and all that, and then we got a cast soon. But it's cool because it's like, it's crazy. It's a wild ride, man. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to give anything away.
No, don't give anything away. But it's fun.
Yeah.
You're having fun?
Yes.
Good.
I'm having. It's weird. My favorite thing about music isn't releasing it. It's making it and watching my friends' reactions to it.
Oh, okay.
Like when I'm in this studio right here and I'm in the corner and I'm like watching people, if they catch a certain punchline.
Yeah.
Or, whatever the case may be, like that's what really gets me excited. I kind of hate the part of like releasing it into the world to get shit on.
Yeah.
Even though that doesn't really get shit. You know what I mean? But it's just like, as a creative, that's all you think. You think about the negative sometimes.
Right.
But the cool thing is like I've been so off the internet that now when I release music, I'm not even a part of that.
Right.
Which is kind of sad, but at the same time freeing, because it's just like I can do whatever I want. And I know that nothing is going to alter how I make music or what I do next. So with this process, it makes me feel just as happy and kind of a little happier. It's weird because making music is the most blissful experience. Like I love it, but there's something about the fact that this is newer and I'm less experienced, so I'm learning constantly and it's more exciting. I'm just in this phase of my life,
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm excited for you. I know we
Thank
just
you.
met, but
Thanks.
it is a big deal to move into a new genre, and not a lot of people have the courage to do that. So good for you.
Appreciate it.
So why the new book?
It's just Simon & Schuster paid me a bunch of fucking money. I thought it'd be dope.
You're like, I can write another one. I got this.
Yeah. No, I did. I did my first book, Supermarket, and that was just a work of fiction. It was a novel, and that was fun to do. And then I don't know. I'd been toying with the idea of doing a memoir, which is crazy to think to do at like 31, but I've been through a lot of shit. And I wanted to do it because I wanted people to finally know the truth, not fragments of an idea or, something that took place in the past in 3 bars and a rap song. Like I really wanted them to be invited into everything. And so I was like, here you go. And in many ways it was cathartic, and it was a really forgiving and beautiful experience. And it allowed me to really, I think, leave so much of my life and my childhood on the page there forever. And it's just like, here it is. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, boom. Like, it's kind of out of I don't need to explain myself to anybody anymore. It's like, yo, you really want to know? Like, go read my book.
Right.
It's not an argument. And I think that was something that was really great about that. Doing a lot of interviews or, on my come up and the questions and the like, what about this? And how come that? And you don't this and da-da-da. There's nobody to ask those questions. You just have to read it. And if you like it, you do. And if you don't want to accept my truth, that's fine. But here it is.
Yeah. What is fatherhood like for you? How much has it changed you as a person?
Yeah, it's changed every aspect of my life because it's just all the cliches they say are true. You'll never be so in love with anything. So, it's just like the best. My little boy, he's so cute. I love him. And it's made, even my relationship stronger with his mom, and just valuing what is important, what isn't, value over fear. Like, yeah, like I don't know the next time I'm going on tour because I don't really want to leave. I will go eventually when I feel like it, when I'm excited to go. But it's changed my entire perspective of my reality and what matters and what is important.
Very cool. This is a random piece of advice, and I don't know if you even like her music, but Pink has a documentary on Amazon, and the entire thing is about taking her kids on tour. So it might be very inspiring to see how that's done.
I didn't know she does that. Yeah, we have a song together.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Me, her, and Elton John did a record.
I mean,
that was
okay,
crazy.
Just drop that. That's awesome.
I mean, I can't not say that.
No, that
you
feels
just brought
like
up Pink.
No, I feel like that's that time that I was hanging out with Pink and Elton John.
Well, it's funny. Me and her didn't get a chance to meet on the record because we did the Benny and the Jets remix.
Oh,
he was like,
wow.
I want you to remix this. And I was like, God damn.
Like, okay.
But anyway, I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's really inspiring. As a working mom, I was really inspired by how she makes them feel like they are part of the experience, because she was sort of like, the only way I can do this is if my family is here.
100%.
So I feel like you'll dig it.
Have you seen Working Moms?
Yes, the very first
funny.
episode. Brother, I really appreciate the time. This has been
Thank you.
Sick. I'm so pumped that I got to hang out with you. If people want to grab the book, just anywhere books are sold, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And did you do the audiobook?
I did. I narrated the entire thing.
Very cool.
And I didn't narrate it like an old man.
I wish you had.
No, I did it like I'm talking to you. That's what's cool, about it. And I do all these voices, and yeah, it's hopefully people will enjoy it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Bobby, I appreciate the time, and I hope someday we meet again in the future when we're at the Grammys and hip hop has 12 categories.
Nice one. Swag. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.